1-week results with my Zepbound compound, the 6 lessons that I learned this week, and hopefully will help encourage you too. Hi friends, I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping. If we have not met, I have been on GLP-1 medications for the last 16 months. I've lost over 88 pounds. I started off on Mounjaro because of the Mounjaro shortage, moved to Zepbound because of the Zepbound shortage. I have now been forced to move to a compound. I have a very reputable compound pharmacy I work with, but I get my prescriptions, both the brand name and compounds, through a company called Join Fridays. And they've been very gracious to give a discount code, which I will link down in the description link for you too. It's Queen, Queen. Let's dive into all of what happened this week. And hopefully, I know some of you guys have been on the fence with compounds. I know I was. If you go back in my 200 plus archive on GLP-1 medications, y'all, I poo-pooed compounds many months ago. And now how the tides have turned. I don't poo-poo it anymore. I'm very grateful for this option because it has been over a month since I've been able to get any sort of Zepbound medication. There is none to be had. I call pretty much every single day. I know my pharmacy loves me, but they're sick of me. Gosh bless all of our pharmacists out there. So why I moved over to the compound was because I didn't want to have the stress of trying to figure out my medication. My provider is still Join Fridays. I think some people have gotten confused. Join Fridays prescribes both brand names and compounds. They have compound pharmacies in which they work with, and they get shipped directly to your home. Whereas with my brand name, I get it. They prescribe for people who are eligible. For me, make the prescription, and I pick it up locally at a local pharmacy. I do not get the brand name shipped to me. Make sense? You can. Some people do, but I don't have that with my insurance. Okay, number one thing that I did not lose anything this week. However, I don't think that is an anomaly or abnormal. Last week, I lost 3 pounds in 1 week. I had a whoosh. I knew I wasn't going to be losing weight this week. However, I do think it probably was like a half of a pound. It's just not, I don't track that. Like, I look at the number, the whole number, and not the like point, like, I'm not interested in that. I don't even really waste my time on that. So I'm sure I probably lost like a half of a pound. But after last week's 3-pound weight loss, at an 88-pound weight loss mark, that's huge. Also, in that conjunction of I didn't lose weight, however, I did learn I'm no longer obese. One of our awesome viewers from my previous video said, Elizabeth, if you've lost 88 pounds, you may want to check that BMI chart, which I detest, by the way, because that chart is off-putting. It says now I'm not severely morbidly obese anymore. I'm not obese anymore. I just made it into the overweight category. Woo! I hadn't looked at that before, and so now I'm officially overweight and not obese, which is crazy. And last night I wrapped my towel around my body fully without like the pizza slice peeking through. If you know, you know. So that was another big victory too. Second thing I learned this week is the first shot that I did with my compound, I wanted to be able to compare apples to apples, and I did it in the back of my husband, how I would normally for my Mounjaro pen or Zepbound pen, did the compound in the back of my arm for me, just like he would have if it was Mounjaro or Zepbound. And so this week, I did my shot last night. I did it by myself. The first time I did it, my husband was sweating. I was sweating. I got a lot of comments of people who are like, oh yeah, it's confusing. And then a lot of people who are like, oh my gosh, it's the easiest thing. Okay. I do not want to be Henny Penny. The sky is falling. You guys know I require and demand of myself to be factually accurate, cite my sources, be scientifically accurate. But when it comes to my own experience, strength, and hope, that was my experience, strength, and hope. Is I was nervous. I was anxious. My hands are sweating. I don't have a medical background. So doing an injection and wiping the things and reading it was a lot. And it was a lot for my husband too. Do you want to grow a multi-million-dollar business? I'm your gal. Start it from scratch and grow it, or do a video marketing strategy. That is my gifting. Medical stuff is not. So for me, it was very nerve-wracking the first shot. It was just as nerve-wracking last night. And that's not to scare people. That's not to incite fear. You guys know, if you know, OG people know, but if you've never watched my content before, I am not one to incite fear. I'm the optimist. I am the one that's going to look on the bright side of things. But doing the injection by myself last night, very nervous. Like, my hands were sweaty. I was getting a scorching case of BO. because I was just so nervous. I competed in the preliminary for Miss America pageant. If it gets contacts, I'd rather do that than do the compound injection myself. Why? Is because you have to make sure you're getting the air out and then flipping the thing over and then wiping with the white pad. It's easy and common sense. It really is. But I got very nervous I was going to do it wrong. And then my husband was, anyways, it was all good. Oh, and keeping my hands clean. And then I picked up my phone to read the directions and I'm like, I just dirtied my hands. So that also freaked me out. So a couple of these things. And then after I did my thigh last night, and this is what I had learned that I wanted to share also was with doing the pen, you can't see, let me zoom in so you guys can see. You don't see that needle on there really going in, or at least I didn't. Hold on, let me make sure. There, you don't, right, there's that needle. You don't see that. I don't want to press, yeah, it's further back. When you push it, like you can see it's got that like barrier on there. I've never seen the needle go into my skin. I've seen it come out because there's been like a blood dot. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes. This, I had to literally watch the needle go in. Not only watch the needle go, which the needle's not big at all. Like that part's not. I'm like, oh, it's like a Botox needle. It's not, that's not intimidating to me. What the intimidating part was watching the needle go in that I was administering and then pushing the plunger slowly down to have the 75 units. Now, if you're on 75 units and you're like, Elizabeth, you said you were on Zepbound 15 milligrams. I'm on Zepbound 7.5 milligrams. Don't worry, my friend, follow what your healthcare provider and the pharmacist said. I called my pharmacy because my friends were like, oh my gosh, I'm on Zepbound 7.5 milligrams and we're on the same dose. They're different levels of concentration. So again, to make things factually accurate. And then from one compound pharmacy to another compound pharmacy, it can even be different that way too, in terms of even if you're on the Zepbound 15 milligrams, if that makes sense. So watching the shot go in and then pushing the plunger to have, and watching that, and then taking the needle out, y'all. Like, I don't drink, but child, I needed to fan myself after that. That was, I am not used to that. And that's where this is where different people, different giftings, thine own self be true and know yourself well enough. I'm like, I'd rather go public speak in front of thousands of people. That doesn't bother me. Like with my job, I'm in front of millions of people for my executive producer job. Like that does not bother me. This needle thing about, that's like the worst headache afterwards, truly. So after I did it on my thigh, my thigh really hurt. And then I started to second guess, did I do it right? Did I pinch I pinched the 2 inches that it said to pinch. Did I do it right? There was seemingly like a nodule underneath my skin. And I kept having my husband look, I'm like, is it red? It wasn't red. I didn't have any rashes or irritations. And in my free encouragement group, which I'll link down below, people have posted their rashes and posted their things. And I went back last night and I was looking, I did that. You can, in my group, you can type search to see previous posts. So I was type searching to go back and I'm like, oh my gosh, looking at everybody's rashes. I'm like, do I have that? Do I have that? I didn't. I had no rash. I had nothing. The nodule on there, it wasn't, this morning I woke up and it was gone. I took some Advil last night just in case. And then I was telling my husband, I'm like, am I having an allergic reaction? And if I honestly was incredibly concerned, I would have called the healthcare provider, right? When in doubt, don't go to even my free group, even though it's amazing. It's hotter than hot. It's the best group ever. It's so fabulous. The people are amazing. But even on that, go to your healthcare provider. Like, do not play Dr. Google. You know what I'm saying? Like, and for me, I wanted to know what I wanted to know. Well, I guess this nodule thing normal under, because there was nothing on the skin, and it's totally fine. It alleviated my fears. I didn't need to run to the emergency room, but I did read online, like if your tongue is swelling or your face starts to swell, you should go quickly. I'm like, well, that's not happening. That's not happening. So that was, the nodule thing kind of freaked me out too. I decided for next week, so for my third compound shot, last night was my second, had my first full week of being on a compound. I'm going to have my third compound shot next week. My husband do, because you can inject in your buttocks. And I kept saying, to my husband, will you, I'm not even going to say, my husband's like, do not say that on air. Do not, people, he's talking about the injection. Anyways, so I'm going to have him do my injection in my buttocks for me next week, because I don't want to watch it. he can handle that. He's like, I'll do that. I'll do that. So, and you can't do that on the pens with Mounjaro Zepbound. It's the back of your upper arm, your stomach, and your thigh, which leads me to number 3. I have questions for my healthcare provider. My stomach, because I was looking about the different location shots that you can do compounds, and stomach, just like for Mounjaro and Zepbound, my stomach, y'all, has changed so much from when I started 16 months ago to now. I have a lot of loose skin and now scar tissue. It looks kind of like a tiger. It's got like white scar lines on there. And I have shared with you guys before my absolute favorite loose skin creams. This is my favorite. I'll link it down in the Amazon shopping list down below. My other favorite is I love using this as well. It's also on the Amazon shopping list. And the scrub, it's the Sol de Janeiro. Absolutely love it. I love the scent. And so I vacillate between, this one is like a 9 out of 10. This is a 10 out of 10. So I've been using those creams on my stomach and my thighs and my legs, and it's not going to change your life. I'm sorry to say, loose skin, the only way to get rid of it is through surgery. And yes, I did do intermittent fasting. People always want to come retort that. Well, if you did intermittent fasting, I have, and I did, and I do, and I still have loose skin. That is my body, though. Everybody's body is different, but that is my body. I follow Dr. Fung. I'm like, Dr. Fung, my body is like I have loose skin. But these creams have been helpful. But for my stomach, for the compound injection, because there's so much loose skin and now scar tissue, it's stretch marks that are not purple anymore. They're white. They're scar. Can I inject in there? And I don't know the answer to that question. So I'm going to go ask my healthcare provider that question. That's number 3 for me, is on my action items, is can I still do it on my stomach? Because there's so much. I mean, it's just, I will not share on air. There's certain things I will share and certain things I will not. I will not share what that looks like. But it's a lot of loose skin and scar tissue. So I'm assuming, because the directions say don't put it in a scar area, that would not be a good place to do. Okay, let's go to number 4. I had the similar symptoms as I did on Zepbound. So I had the tiredness, which I get the fatigue that has happened to me. Like the day after the shot, I get tired. I've had that. Today I'm tired. I'm like, I'm ready to go take a nap after this. And then my appetite was decreased. The third thing I had was gastrointestinal issues, which was nausea. For me, with Mounjaro 15 milligrams, then Zepbound 15 milligrams. And now with compound, I get nauseous. That is par for the course. Every single side effect that I had on Zepbound, same thing with the compound, which in a weird way is reassuring. It's very reassuring. And then the appetite suppression, I talked about this in other videos, but I don't have this crazy severe appetite suppression that I used to have. I wish I did. I love that. That's a gift. If you have that big severe, that's a gift. And I know for some people it's not a gift because it's too much. That's why you got to talk to your healthcare provider. But that is really why I have been working so hard on healing my relationship with food, working with a therapist, working out to work on my body, like all of these things really, really working on while GLP-1 medication is working so well, relatively speaking. But I have had, and that was number 4, is all of those side effects have been the same. So that's great. In the first week of compound, in the back of my head, I don't think I vocalized this, but in the back of my head, I'm like, if I don't have those side effects, it's going to be a doubting Thomas. And I have had all of them, which was very encouraging. Very encouraging. I feel, and I know that next week I'll lose weight. I really do think next week I'll lose weight, unless it's a hormonal thing. I got to check my calendar. If I'm near my period, I won't. That's just natural for me that I won't. But I'm pretty sure I will. Because I've been focusing in on eating clean, moving my body, and things like that. Where were we? That was number 4. Number 5. I think what I'm going to do, I haven't decided this yet. I'm going to pray about it and then do some more research too, is I still have a few Zepbound pens left because of the shortage. I had a few, and then I was able to get, of course, to stay on cycle with my compound medication. I got my compound. So after this vial is done of the compound, because you have 4 weeks worth, and once you basically, not you open it, but once you poke it, then you have the clock starts of when that needs to, and for me it's 28 days. So after the 4th, so I can't hold that's what I'm trying to say. After the 4 shots are done of compounds and the vial is empty, I will then go over and I will use one of my pens, maybe 2, and then start my next compound as I get the shipment on that. That's kind of my game plan, because I don't want my pens just sitting there. You see what I'm saying? Like them expiring. They do have an expiration date, although I've never looked at it. I've never even looked at have you guys looked at your expiration date on your pens? Holy chips. Okay, yeah. So fascinating. This is fascinating. Okay, so this one says 2000, September 2005. I don't remember when I used this last, but this one was November 2024. So like fascinating. Like that's quite a difference on there. I've never looked at the expiration dates on my pens. Tell me in the comments. Have you? Have you looked at the expiration dates on your pens? I have not until just now. That was number 5, was changing, maybe taking the pens. And then number 6 was I had asked my healthcare provider, I had talked potentially about taking the compound, splitting it into 2 different doses. On day 1, taking half of the 75 units. And then on day 4, taking the other half of the 75 units. So half and half, 50%, 50%, to help with appetite suppression. I am not doing that until I get confirmation from my healthcare provider. I'm not going to do that without their blessing, their gifting. They are the medical experts. I am not. And so I wanted to make sure that was crystal clear. My husband and I got into a conversation about that. And that was something I had thought about, not what medically had been suggested to me. When I had called the pharmacy, the compound pharmacy, the pharmacist said, "Oh yeah, you can do that." But they also said, check with your healthcare provider. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to the whole lesson of this whole past week was follow directions, right? Like, I don't need to reinvent the wheel with this. I don't need to figure things out. I'm trusting that I've picked an excellent healthcare provider and an excellent compound pharmacy, which I have. Join Fridays, use the discount code QUEEN. They're amazing. And trusting in that and following in that, even though I'm still kind of afraid. I'm afraid. But I know that this is the better path for me than not having my GLP-1 medication. I'd rather take a compound for now. For me, it's not for forever taking compounds. I'll go back to brand name, and then brand name I'll probably take the rest of my life, some form of GLP-1 medication. But it has been somewhat nerve-wracking. I'm like, "Rah!" Like, it's just been nerve-wracking because it's something new. And I think that people who don't go in the comments and be like, oh, like negating my experience. That was my experience. So don't negate that. But I also don't want to be a fearmonger. And also in the same breath, I want to be uplifting. I am grateful for this medication. It's different than what I'm used to, but I'll learn it. I'm a smart cookie. I'm a smart chickadee, and so are you. Or chickadee or chickadude. We're smart people. We'll figure it out as well. But for me, that was my experiences. I was very nervous because it's not like it's a pen. This pen was pretty much idiot proof. Of you literally take the cap off and then you flip this over, you unlock it, and then you put it in the place where the pictures tell you to. It really could not be. And you don't have to look at the needle going in. And the needle, I felt like it didn't hurt, but it was uncomfortable for me to have to watch. Normally when I get my vaccines or Botox or anything, like not Botox, but vaccines and stuff, I don't look. Even for my kids' vaccines, I always turn away. I can't look at needles. So having to watch that was uncomfortable for me. Bless all of you medical people. It really made me have a much bigger appreciation. I already have a big appreciation for nurses, but for RNs, CNAs, is that the right one for nurses as well? All of the different nurse, medical practitioners, all like, oh my gosh, a big, huge thank you. I don't know how y'all do it, but I appreciate you. I really do appreciate you. So that was how it went this week. I believe next week I will lose weight. I literally, if I haven't said it already, I just got done with walking Mr. Freddie, my dog, and then also I did wall Pilates. I was sweating. People think the wall Pilates that I've recommended to do, it's free. It's here on YouTube. It's a YouTuber. If you look up wall Pilates for beginners, it's Senior Care is the one that I like. Is the lady's handle. I sweat. Like I get like I'm sore. And afterwards, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, but I used my Biocare protein shakes. They're made specifically for people on semaglutides and tirzepatides. I'll link that down below. I negotiated for you guys a discount code. So use the link down below in the description. Just click the ... more button. These are great to have after workouts. They're also great too for like lunch and stuff like that. But the reason why I started taking them is they're only 150 calories with 20 grams of protein. If you go back into my beginning videos, how I poo-pooed compounds, I also poo-pooed taking somewhat, not fully, but somewhat protein shakes. I like had a love-hate relation. Now I just love them. I love them because I can't get that protein in. I try to eat my chicken and my fish and my cottage cheese and all these things to get the protein in, and just eating real foods. People will comment that sometimes too, and I'm like, I tried. And this is the easiest for me. And plus with my travel, like with work, when I'm traveling, particularly with summer vacations coming up, this is easy to pop in my pocketbook. Now, I will only mix it with ice though. The directions don't say to do that. They say you can use a shaker cup. I mix mine with ice. Some of the in my free encouragement group, they use almond milk. I don't do that, but you could. You totally could. I just use water. But the Duke and the Duke loves these. His favorite is chocolate. Mine's the mixed fruit. He loves them with frozen berries in them. He has a very specific recipe with his chocolate shake. It's like chocolate, banana, berries. It's really good. And my sister told me, she's like, put some spinach in there. She's like, you'll never notice you're putting spinach in there. So I'm going to try that today too and see if it tastes good. Follow up. Many of you guys had asked about my mammogram. I've not scheduled it yet. Don't hate me. I have not scheduled my mammogram yet. So if you people were reminding me, our amazing friends were reminding me about I haven't scheduled it yet. Our family member has colon cancer and it's been nuts here, and that's not an excuse for my own health, but I need to get on that today. In fact, after I do this, before I have my protein shake, I need to call about my mammogram. But will you ask me again? You guys bugging me in a loving, nice way has made me stay on this. So thank you. I appreciate that. Does anybody else have these like adulting level things like #adulting? I'm like, like just getting my medication now that I don't have to worry about that with the compound is very helpful to know it's just going to get shipped. But I do need, after with Join Fridays, you need to stay on top of your compound. I'm pretty sure, this is my first time doing it. I already had my first dose. I believe I need to reach out to them to make sure they put the order through. So I need to put that on my calendar. I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. Anyways, ooh, that's a good email. Okay, sweet friends, I gotta go check that. That's a good, very good. I've been waiting for that email today. One of my clients. Action of the day. What are you doing today to move you closer to your goals? Tell me in the comments below. 2, what's the second thing? Oh, our emoji for today is going to be swimming. I really want to go swimming very badly. So swimming is going to be your emoji. That is like our bat signal to tell me you made it this far in the video. It helps me to get to know you better. And also I will pray over you. If you don't believe in prayer, I'll uplift you in positive thought. It's my way. There's thousands of you. There's one of me, but by having like a set, it helps me to get to know everybody because I'll see your name over and over. It's very, very helpful. I hope today's video was helpful. It was helpful for me to reflect on all this. Maybe by week 3, I won't be so nervous about this whole process, but I think with my husband doing the shot for me, which also has me thinking, side note, about people who don't have a partner to give them the injection or a partner who's willing to give them the injection. It makes me very grateful for my partner that I probably would not have had that I have immense gratitude for the count, but even more so now. I'm like, thank you. Because it really was nerve-wracking. It doesn't have to be, but it was for me. So, sweet friends, and I'm gonna go get my water in my 40-ounce tumblers. Check those out on my Zepbound Amazon shopping list, link down below. I moved away from Stanley. I'm a simple modern gal. Okay, sweet friends, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings because life is delicious. Check out the videos for earlier this week if you missed them too. Bye, guys.